What if I told you that the biggest lie you have been told is that freedom comes only after 40 years of work? Let me tell you the ugly truth about retirement that the history books never tell you. So I'm going to give you 3 phases of the scam of retirement. Have you observed that in nature, nothing retires? I've never seen a retired crocodile that sits in one corner of the river and then the government crocodiles will be bringing it food to eat. I've never seen a retired cockroach or housefly. The wind has never retired, the fire has never retired, and I've never seen a retired tree. Why is it that only men have retirement? Humans have retirement. Because of this ugly truth that no one told you. So let me give you the 3 phases of the lie of retirement that as we know it today. The first one was Bismarck, the German chancellor, in 1889. So he set up the pension system with a retirement age of 70. And guess what? At that time, the average life expectancy was 67. So the first system of pension and retirement as we know it was a scam. It was a political bribe to stop socialist revolts. It wasn't done for the good of the people. That was the earliest mention of retirement as we know it today. Number 2, the industrial grind era. Factories needed obedient workers to run the machines, literally work themselves to death until they broke. So retirement became a humane way to discard the worn-out workers who couldn't function anyway, to discard them without riots. Number 3, the governments and the big corporations now sold retirement as the golden years, while quietly banking on the fact that most people would die before they could even collect all that. And have you ever wondered that pension funds bet on actuarial tables rather than on your dreams? Before the 1800s, people worked just like every other thing in nature until death, but they often worked on their own terms. They worked in their farms, they worked with breaks, they worked with seasons, and they worked with purpose. I remember even growing up, 1960s, 70s, and some part of the 80s. My old uncles, the old men and women in the village, literally worked until they died. My maternal uncle died at 100 and a couple of years. And in the 90s, he was still functioning, going to the farm. And you find very elderly women, 103, 105 years old, they're still tending their gardens. They still go to their farms. That's how life was before the 1800s, before Bismarck. That's how nature functioned. People worked on their terms. They took breaks. Nobody told them when to go on vacation and gave them only 2 weeks vacation. Nobody told them when to go for maternity leave. Nobody told them. People lived in their own terms. That's how it was before the 1800s. In fact, if you go further than that, in the ancient Jewish nation, retirement was forced every 7 years. It was called the Sabbath year. And then within the Sabbath year, not only were people commanded to rest, the land was also left fallow, uncultivated. Farmers were forbidden to plant, to sow, even to trim their vineyards every 7 years. And even your debt, if you were owing your neighbor a couple of dollars, it was forgiven on the 7th year. So that's a spiritual cycle of renewal embedded in the law of nature. But we are running a system now that directly violates the natural rhythm of nature, of renewal of both people and their environment, because of the retirement system that we are running right now. So after 1800s, we now have this system that cages all humanity into two-phase cage. So the first cage of your life, that's when you sell your time. You literally sell your blood, trade your time for money while you are young. Can you imagine it? When you have all these dreams exploding in your head, you have vitality, you have energy, you have health. But that is the phase that they force you to trade your time for your existence. And then comes the phase 2 that they call retirement, which is where you pray that you saved enough money to be able to survive. So they told you, grind now and then rest later. That's what we do. And that is what millions of people all over the world, including most of you listening to this, that's the system that you're running. Grind now and rest later. So you trade your youth for a fragile promise called retirement, so that one day you can sit in your chair and say, I made it. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the old way. This is a wake-up call. And millions of people are still following that old way blindly. And it is not working for them. As I work with people around the world, I'm amazed by the retirement anxiety that grips individuals. Once they turn 40, they turn 50, or they are turning 60. Retirement anxiety. Did I save enough money for my retirement? Oh, there's no way I'm going to be retiring because I didn't save enough. And that. Meanwhile, you've worked for 40 years. That is the old way. But I have good news for you, because today is your last chance to opt out of that system, because it's not serving you. It's not serving millions of people. And then you look around you at people who are retired. They've been told that they are retired. So everything in their lives, their health starts going down. Their dreams dead. They don't connect. They don't feel enough. They don't find them useful. You just wake up one day and then you're retired. And then you find that there's nowhere to go. You stay in your house, reading newspapers, watching television. What a waste. And some people do that. They retire at 65. And people do that bored for the next 35 years of their lives. It was never meant to be so. So today there's good news for you, because you have a chance to opt out of that old system. Because there's a new way. It's bold. It's a beautiful rebellion that I'm proposing to you today. And it is called mini retirements. Mini retirements. Can you type mini retirements? Everybody, type it. If you're following, type it in the comment section. Mini retirements. How does that work? Every 10 years, you pause. You take retirement. Why have only one retirement in your life when you can have up to 5? You can have up to 7 retirements. So every 10 years, you have a retirement. And I tell you the secret, because I started my mini retirement about 7 years ago. So I have 3 years to my mini retirement. When I would take a break, I'm going to go vacationing for like 3 months. I'm going to write books. I'm going to create music, get a chance to produce my music, get a chance to do things I love. And I tell you, 10 years is enough to plan for a mini vacation. So every 10 years or every 7 years. In fact, I'm thinking about changing from 10 years to 7 years, so that I'll flow with the natural rhythm of the universe, the way it was intended to be. Every 7 years, you are totally renewed. So every 10 years, you pause, not because you are done, but because you matter. You leave your job, you explore the world, you heal, you keep your journal, you get a chance to go play with your grandchildren that you've never had time to see, to be with family, to do what you love, and you volunteer in courses that you love. You breathe again because you matter. And so that is what the new rich looks like. That's what the new wealth looks like, because the old way is retirement. Why wait to retire at 60? when you can have mini retirements, many of them. Okay, so now the new rich are not the ones with the biggest houses and cars, are not those flashy things. That's not the new rich. They're the ones who own the currency of time. They have stopped measuring success by age or net worth. And you know the best part? They measure it by freedom, by fulfillment, and by flexibility. So the people who have it the old way, you probably have a very well-paid job. They pay you thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars every month. But of what use is that? Because you don't even have time to care for yourself, to care for your health, to meditate, to relate, to travel, to enjoy other cultures, to appreciate art. Not the new rich. Because the new rich measure wealth in freedom, in fulfillment, and in flexibility. They don't retire once. They don't retire once. They retire often. That is the shift I want you to make. Join me to make that shift. Stop waiting to retire once. Retire often. Take a rhythm that works for you every 5 years, every 7 years, but ideally every 10 years. You leave and then you return stronger and fresher. So let me ask you, why are you waiting? Who told you that 60 is the finish line? What if the best parts of your life aren't hiding at the end? What if the best parts of your life are scattered like treasure throughout the journey of your life? But you're missing the best parts of your life in your 30s, in your 40s, because you're waiting until 60 to retire. Think about it. What if the best parts of your life are scattered through the journey and not waiting after 60 or 65? So stop waiting till 60 to retire. Take mini retirements every decade. And finally, start living life on your own terms. Because time is the only wealth that we truly own. Spend it like it matters, because it does. In subsequent videos, I am going to be dealing with the how. How do you plan for your mini retirements every 10 years? Because look at it, 10 years. 10 years is not a small period of time. You can do a lot in 10 years. And can you imagine waiting to plan your vacation, your retirement in 10 years, instead of looking at it as my retirement, I'm 30. Oh, my retirement is 35 years away. No. If you're 30, your retirement is 10 years away. You can retire at 40. Then come back at 40, your 42nd birthday, and then retire again at 50. Then come back, retire again at 60, retire again at 70, then at 80, at 100, at 120, at 130, at 140, which is my final retirement at 140. I hope you'll still be there by that time. But some of you might be listening to this and saying, how do we make it happen? This concept sounds very exciting. It's revolutionary. I can actually do it. I can take mini retirements. How do we do it? That is where I'm introducing you to my mentorship group, paid mentorship group, with just $105 or 105,000 Nigerian naira. You join my mentorship group, because it's one thing to hear about these things, but it's another thing to implement them, to execute on them. And it is not the hearer that gets the success, it is the doer. So if you say, Ogbo, I want you to hold my hand, of course you can do it yourself, DIY. But if you want to say, Ogbo, please hold my hand and guide me, I'm too old to start figuring it out by myself, then welcome. All you need to do right now to join the next cohort is to text "send me payment details" to WhatsApp number +234 8088 000111. And whatever happens, stop waiting to retire at 60. Take mini retirements and keep showing up, because you never know what's coming your way next. And I'll see you in the next video.